Parking lot there now.
Aye. Right. Okay.
I read the whole package on your computer.
All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Monday, January 12th meeting of the Select Board. I am Erin Underhill and I'm the chair, and we have Ellen Rosenfeld, who is our clerk, Craig Schultz, our vice chair, and Mike Kaczynski, our town administrator, and Jim Donovan, who is our IT director and helping with Zoom tonight. So we have a decent agenda. We'll get started. First, we have some announcements. The first one is the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust loan forgiveness for PFAS upgrades. We received is it a grant? A loan forgiveness.
Yes, we received, we did get a no interest loan for $3,707,090 through the Clean Water Trust. And we just were notified that they are giving basically a loan abatement of $296,567 that we don't have to pay back.
Beautiful.
So a total of 8%.
So that's a really good, that's really good. Awesome. Okay, so we wanted to let everybody know about that.
Some good news.
Some good news in the PFAS realm. The other thing coming up that we wanted to announce is the Millis Library Trustees are hosting an event. It's a yearly event. It's called A Novel Occasion. It will be on Saturday, January 31st from 12 to 2:30 p.m. And it's a virtual event where there's multiple authors, and you can get into breakout rooms with some of these authors and have discussions with them. Your ticket also gets you like a swag bag that has, you know, a book of choice in there for you. It's really great for book lovers and readers. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that opportunity. So it's again, Saturday, January 31st. It's called A Novel Occasion. So just to get started, I guess, early, do you guys have any other announcements before we move on? Nope. No? Okay. All right, the first thing we have is our municipal moment. It is about housing production plan. What is it and why is it useful to the town?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. I'm Bob Weiss, coming right now as a town planner. And we were in the fall, the town was awarded $72,000 for a housing production plan from the Community One Stop. And that is to produce or update the housing production plan that we have now. This is actually a state requirement to have the plan, because it accomplishes many things that we need to do. Two of them are, well, first, it gives us the town, especially the staff, a great understanding of Millis's housing needs and the services that the residents need to make this so that we can achieve the goals that we've had in our master plan. It also gives us inroads by having a housing production plan. It gives us inroads to grants and other services that the state has for us. And by having the housing production plan in record with the state, we jumped ahead of the line with a lot of grant applications. Now, the plan requires public outreach, and it requires staff and board participation. It's not just one of those plans that you hand to the consultant and they find the numbers and get it back to you. So we'll have some participation. It is conducted on behalf of the board and the town administrator. And it requires us, as part of that participation, to have an ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee oversees the planning process and makes sure that everything is in line with what the public, we feel the public says. On this ad hoc committee, we will have the town administrator, town assistant administrator, a select board member, a planning board member, 2 or 3 staff people. That's probably about it, maybe one other commission or committee member. And I already have notices out to some of the folks that we like to have on the board. Haven't heard back from everybody, but we'll get back to them and follow up. Now, I've been asked if we can update our master plan, since it's only 26 years old. It was well done. It's still very effective. I actually use it. It does not sit on the shelf in my office. But it is time to update the master plan. And by doing that, we haven't, again, by having a master plan in place, it gives us access to grants. But if we want to get a grant for the master plan, and they are pretty costly, having a housing production plan in place will help us get there. Also, having to do a master plan, we would have to have all the components in line, and one of those components is the housing production plan. So, in February, I believe, we already have our consultant who we found through the 31A, 30B process, procurement process. So we will have Metropolitan Area Planning Council provided consulting services. They have done this for us in the past. And we probably have a contract with them signed by next month and start up next month. So very much. Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, with that in mind, since it's
Yeah.
not a question, there is one service that the housing production plan will help us with.
Yes,
And that's very appropriate right now, because that would be to help us determine a good transit program for the town. Because it will tell us, who's in town, who's going to be coming to town, what are their services and their transit services going to be. And so with that, we can move on to the next,
Segue.
the next item.
okay. So the next item we have is a discussion with Metro West Regional Transit Authority. So we've got Bob and Anne Marie who are going to participate in this, and we have a guest. Wow. So, welcome. They've given us a rule that they want the microphones 4 inches from our face. So when you're speaking, keep that in mind. I think so.
Okay,
So if you could just introduce yourself, that would be great.
fantastic. I'm Jim Nee, I'm the
Okay.
administrator with
4 inches,
4 inches.
Yeah.
not 4 feet.
That's not gonna cut it, Jim. There you go.
There we go.
Jim Nee, the administrator with the Metro West Regional Transit Authority. We're based out of Framingham, Mass, and we represent 16 communities in the Metro West area.
Excellent, thank you. So we are here for a discussion. Anne Marie, did you want to kick it off or?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Anne Marie Gagnon, the Director of the Council on Aging, and Bob Weiss and I are happy to have Mr. Nee with us tonight to talk about what transit services Metro West Regional Transit Authority is able to provide to us to help the last few conversations we've had about bringing additional services to the town. So with that, I'll let him.
Sure,
Thank you.
okay.
Sure thing. Before I start, does anyone have any questions for me about public transportation or the Metro West RTA?
Not targeted enough yet, so
Okay,
I'd say
wonderful.
get started and.
Sure, so public transportation comes in a wide range of forms. If Millis is interested in heavy duty buses with fixed route service, a bus coming every 10 minutes, about 8 different routes, we could spend about $4 or $5 million in Millis and set that up for you. I have a feeling that's not what you're looking for. So some of the other services that we provide are more scaled back commuter services. Those are much more reasonable, several $100,000. We have other forms of demand response service where the bus picks up and drops off from locations that the passenger chooses. The one type, which is referred to as microtransit, is a lot like Uber and Lyft. It's a little bit more expensive than your traditional demand response, but it's open to the general public. And you can go pretty much anywhere you want within a defined geographic area. And then the more traditional demand response, there's two forms of it. One's called paratransit. It's legally required anywhere that we put a fixed route. So if we didn't put a fixed route in Millis, we wouldn't have to provide ADA paratransit. But the second type that we traditionally provide is called Dial-A-Ride. And what is Dial-A-Ride? It's typically very similar to what you would get from a senior center van. It's typically open to a limited amount of the population. In most cases for our Dial-A-Ride programs, it's open to anyone over the age of 65 or under the age of 65 with a qualifying disability. That means it's typically for your senior population and then younger folks who have maybe aged out of school services and stuff like that to get to day programs and whatnot. The Dial-A-Ride program is probably the most appropriate type of public transportation for Millis. Doesn't mean that's the only thing that could be provided or looked at long-term, but looking at population density, kind of where you guys are at, the services currently being provided, that's sort of what we've explored and talked to the staff about to date. And essentially how that would function if we were to explore that any further is essentially as a supplemental to what the senior center service is doing. And as I believe was gone over in a previous presentation, this would hopefully come at no cost to the town of Millis because of the current MBTA assessment that's being collected right around $57,000 a year. Next year it'll be $59,000. The year after that it'll be 61. And those don't go down. And there's no way to have that stop, but there is a way to reallocate. So we're happy to work with you and the senior center on that. We've done it in a number of communities and we're very well versed in making sure we control costs so we don't exceed that number. But yeah, that's basically a rundown of what we do. And if there's any specific questions about the services or how we would partner or how we would have this function, we're happy to answer them.
You guys have questions?
I have a quick question. So we've been paying, how much have we been paying a year?
Well, as he mentioned, it goes up a little bit every
Yeah,
year.
$2,000 a year.
So this comes off of our cherry sheet, otherwise known as our local aid payments. So what the state does is they grant us a certain amount per year, and then they take back a certain amount based on certain requirements we have back, commitments back to the state. And one of these commitments is because we're an adjacent community to the commuter rail over in Norfolk, we have to pay an MBTA fee, basically. So
And-
this is the 59,000 that you're referring to.
We've been paying this forever?
For ever since, I think the commuter rail was,
Yeah.
I mean, many years ago, it was like 15,000, 16,000, but it's gone up.
Okay.
There was a period where it was much, much higher because Charlie Aspinall brought it down. I don't know what, we weren't getting anything for that either, but it's dropped to this, but we're paying more to get, still. not
Okay,
down. Yeah.
so here's my question. We've been paying this fee for however many years, and for the last, let's just say 5 years, we could have been getting something. And we just, dropped the ball? I mean, I'm not pointing, I just wanna know.
I wouldn't say it's dropped the ball. It's,
Okay.
when you're a member of the MBTA assessment, they consider the proximity to their service or the directly receiving of the service as the benefit to you. So in your case, it's you're proximal to a station by only being a town away. So your residents are receiving a benefit by being pretty close to that station. So that's kind of
Okay,
that's kind of the theory behind why you'd be charged. There's more detail to it than that. But there has been some benefit to the town, but the actual direct benefit of a service provided within the town to the people where you can define it and say, this is what we got for those dollars. That's a little bit harder to say what's happened over the last 5 years.
okay. So did we ever have?
Dial-A-Ride?
I think, Bob had done a little research on that, it was back in the, maybe before I was born, actually, we might have had some types of.
Poly cars.
I have been told that at one point we had, I think it was a Gray Line bus that came up Main Street, so it probably serviced Medway and Medfield, and I think it went to the Needham transit station. But I don't know, that must have disappeared about 20 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
All of that, and then some, I guess.
I'm just wondering out loud here, I'm just wondering why we didn't,
Do this sooner?
bingo.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the only thing I can say about that is I know that, my predecessor, Mr. Aspinwall.
Yeah.
As was discussed, he did manage to get the cost down by ways I'm not aware.
Yep.
And my understanding, he was concerned at the time that if we added the service back in, the cost would go up.
Okay,
Now, my understanding is now that's not the case.
okay.
And
So
we
maybe
can certainly
it
look
was.
into that to confirm that. So I don't think they're gonna charge us anything extra for this. I agree. I think at this point with the climate, the transportation is, they're trying to get a little bit away from cars in general, on top of the fact
Okay.
that some people can't drive or whatever, to enable people to get around better.
Okay, so it sounds like you have sort of an à la carte thing. Is there anything higher than this that we can get without paying money?
Potentially. I would say right off the bat, if there were no grants involved, there was nothing else involved, this is not necessarily the very top of what you could get, but if you were very price conscious and you want to assure you did not exceed that 57,000, this is about as far as I would go to start. That doesn't mean that we start up this service, we figure out what that cost is, we see what the usage is in town, and it turns out you're using maybe 15,000, 20,000. That's about actually what I would approximate Millis would use out of the
Okay.
local assessment bucket. And at that point, we could then look at it and say, wow, we either really love our relationship with the MWRTA or maybe we don't really love it. But either way, you could look at what remains and say, maybe we want to do something else with that as well. Now,
Okay,
what would remain wouldn't give you a lot of options for additional services, but we are very proactive in getting grants to start up new services. Those are often limited in duration though, so if we were to start something up to say, try a micro transit pilot, a micro transit is that service that's similar to Uber and Lyft. Those are a bit more expensive. If we were to run a vehicle in town, say 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, the all-in cost of that's probably between $250,000 and $300,000. To be clear, that wouldn't be assessed to Millis. Right now, the local assessment share is right around 1/3 cost. So if we were to do something like that, that might cost $80,000 to $100,000 per year. So a little bit more than what you're paying right now. But again, when we try new services out, we typically do them either because there is an excess in local assessment being paid to the T that can't be recaptured without providing a new service, or we look for a grant or a combination of the two. We typically don't like starting up a new service from scratch and just saying, hey, put the bill for that and let's see how it goes.
when you say we look for grants, do you mean we or you?
My staff, I have a dedicated staff, including multiple members who work on grants. My team is about 40 on the administrative team. I have about 120 contracted drivers. They have about 20 or 30 managers and dispatchers that work with them, but my administrative team is
Okay,
about 40.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, we're,
and you guys, for if we were to start this up, you have a thing with like ka-ching, ka-ching, and then after 3 months, you see what we've used?
yeah, we could
Money
look at,
value?
we could look at real-time usage rates and we know what the value of that usage rate is. So our services are, the cost of those services are calculated depending on the type of service. With demand response, we calculate it by trip. And essentially, all of our demand response services are thrown into a bucket. We say, how much does that cost? For us, right now, it's about $10 million. We subtract out all of our grants, we subtract out all of our federal aid, we subtract out all of our state aid, and then we get what remains. And for demand response, that's just shy of $3 million. So we then take that and say, who took trips from all of our 16, maybe 17 communities? And if say there's 1 million trips and you have 10,000 of them, you'd pay 1% of the 3 million. On our fixed route side, it's a little bit different. If we're doing a fixed route, which is more standard, like bus going up and down the road every day at a fixed time, that's based on how many hours we put in the town.
Right,
And what's so cost effective about the demand response service like Dial-A-Ride is, if it's new to the town, not too many people are using it, it's not gonna cost that much. And the only way the cost starts to creep up and maybe even come close to approaching the 57,000 is if the program is wildly popular and everyone loves it. So it's kind of a good problem to have, but if the town is cost conscious and doesn't want it to exceed that number because you don't want to incur any new costs, we can work with you to make sure that happens. Like, we're very good at managing costs.
So I have a question. Is there? I'm just trying to wrap my brain around how this works. So let's say there's 3 people in town.
Yep.
That are planning to use this.
Yep.
Maybe daily.
Mhm.
There's multiple dial-a-ride vehicles, right? So like if there's a timing issue, you've got plenty of vehicles that can go take people to different places.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't dedicate typically one vehicle to one community, though it is nice when trips are in similar geographic areas at similar times, because then we can double them up, especially if they're remote from our hub. That's not required though. So say there's 3 people in town getting a ride, one's at 8 AM, one's at 10 AM, and the other one's at 3 PM. It might be 3 different drivers coming into town.
Okay, okay. I mean, it's a no-brainer that we implement this.
I don't see any reason not to.
You think?
Yeah.
So what do we have? Oh, Scott, did you want to say something? Sure.
WD 411 union, thank you for this, I mean, someone walks. Yeah,
You think?
yeah.
You alone could probably get us up to 57 grand.
Well, I'm just, my comment would be people up at King Kennedy, Millis Housing, look at Sham Street, probably your vehicles would go right by there. They probably would get a lot of use out of it, well, when you say dial-a-ride, does that mean someone's gotta call and book it, like the resident or the person that?
That's correct. Them or their advocate would book the trip. Typically, with Dial-A-Ride, we'd like to see 48 hours in advance notice, though people sometimes set up sort of subscription services. Say you have dialysis every Tuesday, Thursday. You can call us in advance. We'll get that scheduled for you. You don't have to call every Tuesday,
But
Thursday.
I mean, you would have like a number or something.
Oh, yeah, we have, part of my admin staff is a call center of about 10 people. They're taking calls all day long, and
Yeah.
they're everyone's best friend.
Okay, I was gonna say, if you say online, now a lot of people do the computer, but no, I think it's longer, I mean, since the town can pay into the systems.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
To be clear, we have not been receiving the 57,000.
No, not you, but I mean, the town's been paying.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
need a system, I mean, the town's grown, the demand's there, so I think it's great, thank you.
Share. Can you share a little bit about, where do you go in the towns you serve?
Absolutely. So, we consider our origin communities, for Dial-A-Ride, any of the communities that have decided to sign up for Dial-A-Ride, which is about half of our communities. Some of our communities aren't member of Dial-A-Ride because they have more extensive services, and it would just overwhelm their services if we tried to do Dial-A-Ride as well. But so those communities who sign up for Dial-A-Ride are our origin communities, and they can go to any destination community for us, which is any of our 16 communities within the NWRTA, origin or not. Any of our surrounding communities, so I think actually Millis is considered a destination,
Do we
community.
have this map somewhere?
Let me look.
You do?
Provide, go through the towns, some towns.
Can you just?
Yeah, well, I can,
Help you out?
give me 1 second, I can tell you where they are, right here. So origins currently within the MWRT are Ashland, Hopkinton, Marlboro, Milford, Sherborne, Southborough, Sudbury, and Wayland. Destinations within our area are Dover, Framingham, Hopedale, Hudson, Holliston, Milford, Natick, Weston, and Wellesley. And they can receive service pretty much all day long. And you can go anywhere within those if you'd like. We have extended areas, and those extended areas, we typically reserve those primarily for medical appointments, and they're a little bit more restricted on times, whereas if it's within our service area, it could really be any time during the day. But those midday medical appointments, we can go to Berlin, Concord, Lincoln, Maynard, Medfield, Medway, Millis, Needham, Newton, Northborough, Shrewsbury, Stowe, Upton, Waltham, and Westboro, and a limited amount to Concord for specific hospitals. And then we have a even further limited, which is only very limited hours during the midday, where we allow for medical trips into Boston and into Worcester.
Excellent.
So I'm just asking, is Medway or Medfield, do they use this service?
They are not part of our RTA. I believe one of them might be part of GATRA, and I think the other one's part of the MBTA.
Right.
Um,
So,
Explain
so
that.
Medway uses GATRA. And, as you know from our previous conversations, we also reached out to them, but their primary service area is south and west of where we are, where our drivers who go already, could also pick up that. And when we talked with Metro West, they do broader and more of where we usually go. So it's a nice, mix. And Medfield is the MBTA, so that's the ride service.
And we do have another question, actually.
Hello, Amy Fagan, Timberline Road. I did have a couple of questions, and Amber, you just answered one. So is this available just Monday through Friday? Are the weekend services available?
Yeah, it looks like Saturday and Sundays, there was something in here, hold on. Scrolling.
So you take reservations on the weekends.
Oh, that's
So,
reservations.
yeah,
Okay.
and we do allow for our ADA paratransit and some of our micro transit services, and some of our fixed route services run on weekends as well. But for Dial Ride, sort of that core base program, it's 6:30 AM to 6:30 PM, Monday through Friday.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
6:30 AM to 6:30 PM, Monday through Friday. For this particular program.
And since this would fall under the,
Can you get a little closer, sorry?
57,000 fee that we pay into, is there any cost to the rider?
So typically the answer is yes, and the MWRTA does have fares in place as part of our policy. And for the fare structure, it's $2 for sort of in-service area. Those extended service areas are $3 for the surrounding communities, and then $5 to Boston or to Worcester. That being said, because of the fair share amendment that was passed, the millionaire's tax more commonly referred to, there's a number of programs that have been invested in public transportation. And one of them in particular is that all the RTAs in the state right now have received funding to go fare free. And we have included our Dial Ride programs in that. So while there is a fare structure in place, and in the event that the fair share amendment got repealed or they saw fit to stop funding fare free for the RTAs, we would have fares in place, but for the last 2.5 years, we have collected no fares, and we have no intention to do so unless that funding was repealed.
One last question. Can you complement the service of, demand rides with the Uber-like service?
We absolutely can. The limitation on that is the Uber-like service requires dedicated resources at dedicated times that you can advertise to the public, which means if say we do Dial a Ride at the normal times and we said we want to try out that micro transit in the afternoon, say from noon to 6 PM. Well, then there would be a charge, the service hour charge from noon to 6. If 2 people rode or 30 people rode, it would be the same charge. Whereas on Dial a Ride, it's only per use. Because the difference is I don't send a vehicle into Millis unless I have a trip. With that on-demand microtransit service, I have to have the vehicle there anticipating the trip. And so the resource is dedicated. It can actually be quite a bit more effective than Dial a Ride. We actually get our cost per trip down below our Dial a Ride cost in the number of communities where we operate it. But especially for newer services, it's typically not below that cost. So it can be quite costly. I would estimate if we were to do 8 hours a day, 5 days a week of the micro transit service, it'd be about 250 to 300,000 per year, and the local assessment portion of that would be probably just shy of 100,000.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. So I would think maybe
Yeah.
that we're all in agreement
Yeah.
that we should move forward with this.
Yeah,
How do we
absolutely.
implement this?
I
What
have
are
one more
our next
question.
steps?
All right,
Okay,
one
go
more
ahead.
question. So the senior center provides something.
Yes.
How would you divvy that up?
So as we thought about this and move forward, our rides are typically start as early as, say, 7:30, 8 o'clock and run to about 2:30 or 3. We like to have our drivers back. There's still staff here working in town, whereas your program starts much earlier. And I know that's gonna be great because there's a lot of people who need to go particularly to Boston really early for that early morning appointment or other medical appointments. And the fact that you run later also complements what we do nicely. And it would also, as we would work together to market the program, I think it gives, when we talk about aging well in any community, choice is really important. And I think having the opportunity to call directly another service, somewhat anonymously from your friends at the senior center is a benefit. So people have that choice whether they want to call us or they want to call this service. I think that's really important. So there's that piece to it. And it also, the rides that this group would be able to do would help to free up time for our drivers to do additional trips, specialty trips. and also services other communities where their communities don't go. So I think it's a really good win-win, particularly for our town, and to try it as a pilot and see what the interest is.
Yeah, I agree.
So, for next steps, Bob, were you going to say something about that?
No, overall, I think, there's a lot of details we have to work out.
Okay,
And Anne Marie and Jim and I we'll certainly do
Okay.
that. We have, once we get the go ahead.
it won't happen tomorrow, but yes,
It won't
okay.
happen tomorrow.
I can share with you how simple it is, though, if you'd like. I do know Mass General Law quite well on this. I mean, we don't have to do it tonight or tomorrow, but, reading directly from Mass General Law, 161B, Section 3, it's really this simple. Any city or town or group of combination of city or towns other than a city or town, included in the Mass Bay Transportation Authority, in which the authority operates fixed route bus service, which they do not here, may, with the approval of a city manager in the case of a city under Plan E form of government, the mayor, city council in the case of all other cities, or the board of selectmen in the case of a town, and subject to the approval of the advisory board to a regional transit authority, join an authority which is not separated from the city or town or group of combination of city or towns by more than one other municipality. So essentially, it is a vote of this body. And once that vote is conducted and passed, my advisory board at the next reasonable meeting would take up that and vote on the acceptance of the community. I don't think any community's ever been rejected from anyone.
So do we want to make a motion then?
We don't have anything on the agenda
Oh, so we
that's
can't
specified.
make a motion.
You could as early as your next meeting.
So let's get it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yep.
I would hope.
So I
Yeah,
think we could have the particulars, at least to the extent we need, within 2 weeks for the board to make a vote at that time. That would then allow Jim to go back to his board, and we could certainly work out whatever details need to be worked out on that.
And to be clear, we have a number of communities that have joined who have decided, we're part of you, but we didn't want to actually start any services. Or we joined and we took a year or two to think about it before we started anything. So a vote to join an RTA doesn't mean the services commence immediately. It commences when the community is ready for it.
I think we're ready.
Alright.
But we will get this on the next agenda and work on that. Okay,
Good, all right.
awesome. Thank you all. Thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Thank you, great, thank you.
Exciting.
yeah.
And you yelled at me for making them do the motion. You're welcome.
Okay, so the next thing we have is the approval of the Massachusetts School Authority MSBA Project Scope and Budget Agreement.
And Madam Chair, we have both Jeff D'Amico from Vertex and Rich Nichols, the Chair of the School Building Committee, is also on Zoom.
Okay.
If there's any questions for him.
Excellent.
Again, this evening before the board are three really major items, big steps in the process as far as moving ahead with the middle high school project. There are three items on your agenda related to this. And again, Jeff D'Amico is here this evening, and I think he's best positioned to discuss each one and explain where we're at and what's requested of the board this evening.
Okay, great.
Good evening. Thank you for having us, or having myself and Rich here today. So in front of you, the first thing up is the project scope and budget agreement. So with the Mass School Building Authority, there's essentially two funding agreements. And if you want to think of it in terms of, buying a home, this is kind of the purchase and sale, right? This locks in all the details that were already appropriated. And so this locks in the percentage rate, the amount they're giving back to you, and the terms, the schedule, the total scope of the overall project. So essentially, this is the deal. And so, with the successful vote at town meeting in the ballot, you're cleared to, once you're satisfied, to sign the deal and move forward. The second agreement, which will come after this, which you'll get probably in 30 days or so once you sign this agreement, is the project funding agreement. And that one is really to release the funds. So this is the setup of the deal. It has all the terms that you've already seen to date with the maximum grant amount of the 68.2 million. And then the future agreement will be the actual funding mechanisms themselves, which will happen on a monthly basis. And once you sign that project funding agreement, that will then release the start of the funds. and that will carry on in perpetuity until you get to the end of your reimbursement amount at the end of the project, 5 years or so from now.
Okay. Do you guys have questions?
No, no
No?
questions.
Okay,
I've seen this for a long time.
all right. Do we want to move
Yeah.
forward with motions?
I move that the board vote to approve the MSBA project scope and budget agreement for the Millis Middle High School project and to authorize town administrator to sign the agreement on behalf of the select board.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Do we need, okay, so then our second thing is to approve the owner's project manager contract?
That's correct. Yeah, there's two contracts amendments in front of you at this point. One is the owner's project management, and then the follow-on one will be the designer and all their sub-consultants. These contracts represent the balance of the job, so all the way from design development, which starts now, through a year of design and permitting, and then through the 30 months of design and construction phases, and then approximately, if we're lucky, 3 years in closeout with the state, although those of you that were around with Clyde Brown know it takes a bit of time to kind of close this job out. So this is for the next 5+ years of commitment from both the owner's project manager and then and the design team as well. We presented both of these to the school building committee at their December board vote, and they voted to recommend it and bring it forward to this group here. They did their due diligence. We presented comparables through the MSBA's website, which shows all the other middle schools, middle high school combinations, or high schools, and show that these fees are within line where those projects are. Obviously, focusing more on the addition renovation projects because that has a longer duration with some higher spikes instead of a typical bell curve that a new building would have. And so we recommended to the building committee, and they've recommended to you both of these amendments for the Vertex companies and Tappe Architects and their consultants.
Okay.
Yeah, I attended the school.
Oh,
building
sorry,
committee.
I can't get my camera to work. So this is Richard Nichols from the School Building Committee. And I want to agree, sorry to cut you off, Craig, that yes, we did review and approve both of those proposals.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I move that the board vote to approve the owner's project management contract amendment number 1 for the Millis Middle High School project with Vertex Companies, Inc., LLC, for the amount not to exceed $3,296,392 for a total contract authorization of $3,711,318, and to authorize the town administrator to sign the agreement on behalf of the select board.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
And the third one is for the architect, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so this includes all their base services. At the last meeting with the building committee, we tabled some extra services, so there'll be another smaller amendment behind this one that has to do with some additional geotechnical borings and the hazardous materials subconsultant. We were going back and forth with terms at the time of the last building committee meeting, so those ones are tabled. This is the full suite of services for all of their subconsultants for all the traditional design standards of mechanical, electrical, structural, civil, landscape. All those firms are all in there.
All right, I move that the board vote to approve the design service contract amendment number 2 for the Millis Middle High School project with Tappe Architects, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $9,065,000 for total contract authorization of $9,789,310, and to authorize the town administrator to sign the agreement on behalf of the select board.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. All right, is that it for tonight?
That's it for tonight. Yeah, appreciate your guys' time. Thank you very much. Last thing I will note on my way out is that we're looking to hire the third major vendor on the team, which is the construction manager. This committee had approved us to go forward with the IG's application. The Inspector General approved that in the month of December. We solicited proposals. We had 10 firms submit, which was great coverage. The selection subcommittee has met as recent as last week, and we've narrowed that down to 4 firms that are going to proceed to the next stage. So the beginning of next week, we're going to issue a request for proposal for those 4 remaining CMs, which will include their fee. I'm going to be working with Mike Kaczynski and Town Council to have the Millis specific construction management agreement that we want to put out there for them to respond to. And that'll all go forward. We are scheduling for interviews the end of February, February 26th, at which point I'll come back in front of this school building committee for their recommendation. And then we'd look to get on your committee's meeting the second week of March with that recommendation of the firm that we'd like to move forward with for your consideration and approval.
Excellent.
Great.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you,
you,
Rich. Okay. Next up, we have discuss the use of 64 Exchange Street building as a local food pantry, which is very exciting.
Very exciting. I'm gonna just give a little history. The director of the food pantry is gonna say a few words. So is it the director? The director of the food pantry, Elizabeth Derwin, contacted me months and months and months ago and just sort of on site when we were doing the work over there and asked what the possibility would be to think about moving the food pantry from the basement of the church to the Catholic Church?
No, the Church of Christ.
The Church of Christ. It's been there for a while, and what do you think about moving it over? And I didn't even have to think before the words were out of her mouth. I thought it was brilliant. I know that there are people, we talked about, you know, how much rent we're gonna get for the building and who you're gonna rent it to, and rent. As somebody that's spent the last 6 months in that building, I'm not inclined to just rent it to, I mean, this is just me speaking. A lawyer or an accountant or somebody, because I think the building should be seen. It's spectacular. It was spectacular when it was a mess, but it is really going to be spectacular. Also, it doesn't really lend itself very easily. It has no air conditioning and there's no plans to air condition it. It's very cool because it's all stone. And when I say cool, I mean it's cool, but it's also temperature cool, climate wise. It's chopped up. It's, you know, there's 6 rooms on the first floor. There's 6 or 7 in it's very choppy because that's what old buildings were. No wide open spaces. Again, I don't want to see it destroyed again. We leased it to a Montessori school and it was a mess. So when Elizabeth came along, I thought it was brilliant. What a great opportunity for people to see it, to use it, to enjoy it. It lends itself to it. There's no stairs. There's 1 step up, but we're gonna be putting in a handicap ramp to take care of that. There's plenty of parking. And for the use it's gonna be, it's not gonna be 24 hours a day. It's gonna little wear and tear. It'll last longer, etc. So this will be for the first floor. We're talking about the particulars to be worked out, but I just think that I've mentioned it to so many people and they just think that it's just what a great use. So, want to say a few things about the food pantry and how excited you all are?
We're very, very, very excited. My name is Elizabeth Derwin. I live at 60 Middlesex Street, and as Ellen mentioned, I am the director of the pantry. So it was actually last May when I approached Ellen and she was sitting outside with her sign saying, vote yes for the election for the clerk. And so she has some free time in her lawn chair. And so as the director of the pantry, I have been thinking, you know, for a while about what our next step is. So I think it's very important to note that the pantry's been in existence for just over 35 years. And we've always been housed through the generosity of the Church of Christ. They have provided us a home, the infrastructure, access to the secretary to do the homework. It has just been a spectacular partnership. The thing that, causes us pause, however, is that it is in a basement. And there is a flight of stairs both up and down. There's no elevator access. And if you come and see our client base on a regular basis, a fair amount of our folks are disabled. And we have no option for them. And in addition to that, we have to restrict who can actually volunteer there. Because for our folks that are disabled, they need help getting, their bags and stuff out to the car. And so our volunteers have to be able to negotiate, flights of stairs up and down. And that we actually still have volunteers with us who have been there for the entire 35 years. And they are getting to a point where the stairs are more and more inhibiting what they're able to do. So for a few years, I have been thinking about what our next step is going to be. And when I followed up with Ellen, it was just to see, it was just an exciting opportunity. So not only does it help with the stairs and that kind of an issue, it just is a far more dignified space for those in our community who are relying on a food pantry to come and get our assistance. It has windows, as Ellen said, it's just a beautiful space. And I think what it does spectacularly is sort of elevate the whole notion of the importance of the pantry in town, and that it integrates us far better into the town. And that an argument could clearly be made, it is the most spectacular building in Millis. And what a wonderful statement it makes, that the town is using that for the least illness. So I think all around, this is just terrific. And I also want to thank Ellen immensely for what she's done to turn that building around.
Yes.
And for anyone that's been if the outside you can see, and it looks spectacular, but the inside looks equally spectacular. And she is single-handedly taking on the fundraising to do the interior.
Yes.
And it's been a yeoman's effort, and it's gonna have a great impact on our town.
Thank you.
Speaking of fundraising, people,
Still accepting?
I'm still accepting, I'm looking for, we've done well, we've raised. You're not supposed to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway, I was looking for 100,000, I brought that down to about 70,000, I could do it out, we've raised about $50,000.
That's great.
20,000 more would do it, the plastering is done. The electrical I have the money for. The biggest piece of this puzzle left is the painting. And this is kind of the funny piece. When I got a paint quote, before the plastering was done, the paint quote was like 15 grand. 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, after the plastering is done, now when a painter can actually see how much work they have to do, because the plaster is sort of a rough.
Yeah.
I had the painter come back and re-quote it, and he went in the wrong direction.
Mhm.
He went up to 21,000 from 15. Because there's wainscoting, the entire building is wainscoted. And the wainscoting has been painted 25 times. 6 of the paint layers are just peeling off.
Mhm.
So you have to sand, and with the little notches
Yeah.
in between. It's a lot. I met with a second painter today. I'm meeting with a third painter on Wednesday to get 3 competitive quotes. I do not believe anybody's gonna come in lower than the 22 grand, I believe. But it's the last piece, and it's really gonna be beautiful. And not to mention the church where the food pantry is, not only is when you get in, that the stairs down, you have to go up the stairs to get in, to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And the stairs to go down are so old that anybody with a size 10 or 11 foot, you go down sideways because half your foot is hanging. Remember those stairs used to be? So it's tough and it's dark. This is just gonna be spectacular.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Good, easy for a lot of you. First of all, Ellen, thank you. This was a building that we talked about.
We did.
And, it's special, but, I worked the roads for years and we used to deliver and to the church, and we have to set up a ramp, and it's not it's dark down there, so I think this will bring so much, but I think it will make people feel better going to the pantry, they'll feel like they're more at home. But it's ADA, it's gonna be better for people in wheelchairs and handicaps, so it's great. I think it's a great use of a town building that's historical that you should deserve for years and years to come, so thank you.
So I also want to thank you, Ellen, for taking on this project and doing all this work, because I tried when they had the first quote that was to bring it back to historical, like with
Oh, the
the
1.5
3 million or whatever it was. And I got shot down pretty quick, so then I kind of lost my steam. So thank you very much for taking this on and making this, you know, the beautiful building that it should be. And, you know, I'd like to also publicly thank the church for housing the food pantry for all these years and for all their assistance. I think this is a great idea. I think this is a perfect use of that building, for the townspeople. Elizabeth, just a quick question. I assume, looking at the space, I mean, I've only been in there once when it was kind of torn apart, but looking at the space, it's enough. There's enough space on that first floor.
It is, we would have to take the entire first floor.
Mhm.
You know, I've been thinking in my mind, we have to lay it out differently, and that's okay. People will have to go from
Room to room.
room to
Yeah.
room. And the other thing, which is kind of obvious, is with the windows, our shelving situation has to change, because right now we have floor to ceiling shelving, and we certainly don't want to block the windows, but yes, well, we will absolutely make it work. Well, one thing I wanted to say when I was up there before and I didn't, just because probably a lot of people that may be listening don't realize the big role the pantry plays in town. We right now have 91 registered families. Now, a family could be a single person, and I think our largest family is 7 people. That's 91 families. And in 2025, there were 1,400 separate shopping trips into our pantry. So that was 1,400 times people walked up and down those narrow steps, and it's just, as Scott and Ellen mentioned, you know, a little dangerous, a little tenuous. So it is such an important function, and it may be more well used than people realize at 1,400 trips a year.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other comments? Yes.
You're there every day.
I am there every day. I'm Lauren Barnes, and I live right up the street from the Lansing Mills building. So I joined the chorus of, first of all, acknowledging Ellen, who has quarterbacked this effort. She's there all the time. I can vouch. I also want to tell my neighbors and friends of the community of Millis that this building is known well beyond Millis, that I very often see people who've come from Stoughton, Sharon, Hopkinton, Uxbridge. Those I remember right off the top of my head, and they're just coming because they're seeing this building being worked on, and they have a particular interest in it. They take pictures of it, so it really is a landmark that we knew it was, but I didn't know that other people knew that it was. I've seen the building on the inside. I've seen a lot of the comments on social media. People know and respect the various contractors Ellen's been successful in bringing to Millis for us. I think it's great that when I moved to Millis, this was our town hall. So
Right.
I used to pay my tax bill there. So I'm really excited to be the stakeholder in this building and not be at the whim of somebody that could ruin it. Now we're bringing it back to life. People will hopefully hear this message and realize that this is a really worthy investment for the town. And I also think to Elizabeth's point and her fantastic leadership, which has never wavered, that it will make people much more aware of what this important resource is and view it as an asset and contribute to it. So I hope that this is successful. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Lauren.
you. Excellent. So do we have a motion?
do.
We do, okay.
I move that the board vote to enter into discussion with the Millis Ecumenical Food Pantry for a license agreement for them to utilize the first floor of the Lansing Millis building as a food pantry.
Second. Right, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Feel good story.
Yes, it is.
Not too many of those anymore.
That's great. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And Ellen, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right,
Been fun.
our next item is
It's the stump.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see it over here. Yes, so the next item is to review and approve the contract for tree services with Stumpy's Tree Service.
Madam Chair, in your packet, is, information regarding the MAPC, award to Stumpy's Tree Service, which allows us to contract with them directly. And the $100,000 is related to the funding that was approved at the fall town meetings. So this evening, I'm requesting that the board approve the contract with Stumpy's Tree Service in an amount not to exceed $100,000 and to authorize me to sign the contract on the board's behalf.
Okay,
All right, I move the board vote to approve a contract with Stumpy's Tree Service in the amount not to exceed $100,000 and authorize the town administrator to sign the contract on behalf of the select board.
Second,
it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. And I just want to back up for a second. I feel like I should have said this
I'm going
before.
backwards.
I'm going backwards. So
can do whatever.
I can do whatever I want.
With their time though.
I just wanted to say that
Have some Saturday.
the food pantry is open every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon, and the first and third Wednesdays from 10 to noon. And that there is the ability to donate to the food pantry at Roach Brothers, as well as at the Church of Christ. There's donation bins, as you go down the stairs.
There are, but the church is often locked,
But the church is often locked, so Roach Brothers is your best bet for donating.
or come when the pantry's open.
Or come when the pantry's open. Okay, wonderful. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there too.
Good one.
Good.
Donations are always welcome and needed, so, okay. Next is the approval of the Millis Beautification Day event. So as a fellow Lion, I will speak to this one. The Lions do a yearly Millis Beautification Day. And this year it's going to be Saturday, April 11th from 9 a.m. to noon. Individuals, families, groups can all register and help out. You'd be assigned a location to clean, picking up trash, maybe some light weeding if it's around town hall, things like that. So it's a great community day and a lot of people come out and a lot of, school groups volunteer, scouts volunteer, and families. So this is just to get some approval for that date and time. It is rain or shine, but it is a great day and everybody, meets at town hall first and then are assigned out, locations. So, we do have a motion and
I
there's
move that-
questions.
I move the board, vote to approve the Millis Beautification Day event for Saturday, April 11th, from 9 to noon.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next we have select board liaison updates. Anybody? I got nothing.
I attended the school building committee.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good
And we
one.
voted it, so I got nothing to say.
Okay. Ellen?
I had one, but I blew it off because it was the lighting of the menorah.
Oh,
You attended
yeah,
that
we
instead.
went.
That was
to
energy.
menorah.
Oh, he left.
Oh,
You went,
you're
okay.
kidding. You skipped the energy.
I
You
skipped
Turn
it.
on the electric lights on the menorah.
And not, yeah, right,
Yeah.
and not for nothing, but it was like 10 degrees out.
Yeah.
It was a miserable, miserable.
It was cold, but it was a wonderful, event,
It
really. They
was.
did a great job with it and, there was a decent turnout. They did have a blow.
Yeah, they did.
Really? Okay.
They did have a blow.
That's better.
torch.
But the rest of it was
Then
electric.
it was worth it.
Yeah, and it was, yeah,
It was a good event though, and Senator Becca Rausch came
Yes.
out for the event as well, which is nice to see
Very
her,
nice.
so. It was a good event. Okay, so the next thing we have is the review and approval of draft minutes.
I move the board vote to approve the minutes of December 15th, 2025.
second.
It's been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
I,
Aye, motion carries unanimously. And then review and approval of the water and sewer commitment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your packet, is the most recent water and sewer department commitment. This one is for December 2025. In the amount of $7,521.70. I recommend that the board vote to approve the commitment.
So moved.
second.
It's been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
I,
Aye, motion carries unanimously.
Trying to get up by 8.
All right, Craig.
I move the board vote to enter executive session to discuss strategies in preparation for contract negotiations with union personnel, AFS CME 93, and to enter back into open session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
I,
Second,
second,
Ellen,
I.
Craig,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So we are going to executive session. Thank you very much for attending, everybody, and thank you, Millis Community Media. Have a great night.